Yo, hi there. These comments are for KM, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at Stealth, the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. I just read your independent writing practice test number 10, and you're also one of my students at California State University, San Bernardino. And let's take a look at the question first. So we have, some people believe that a college or university education should be available to all students. Others believe that higher education should be available only to good students. Discuss these views. Which view do you agree with? Explain why. Alright, let's take a look at what you did. So it looks like you have your introduction in the beginning, right? So you have simple fact, countries with higher literacy rates generally have standards of living. Then you say, there are some people who believe that only good students should go to colleges and universities for higher education. In contrast, I'm with the idea that all students deserve to continue their education to higher levels. Achieving goals, so you have your thesis. Studying benefits and responsibility are 3 reasons why education should be available to all students. Now here's the problem, is you want to follow the actual writing prompt. This is where you're running into trouble. Here, it says here, discuss these views, then which view do you agree with, explain why. So you should objectively discuss this view maybe in the second paragraph, discuss this particular view in the third paragraph, and then in the last paragraph you get to which view you agree with and why. Right? So that's where I think you're having some trouble. Alright, so let's take a look at your different paragraphs. So you actually have a good thesis, but it doesn't exactly frame around the actual writing assignment, right? So you have achieving goals. So your body of paragraphs focus around your 3 key points, which is a good strategy, but that's not exactly what the question is asking you to do. Now, what could you do? Let me give you an example. Here's a model essay that I think more directly frames around the question. So in this case, the writer doesn't include his opinion right in the beginning. He simply says, some people believe that a college or university or education should be available to all students, while others believe that higher education should be available only to good students. And then, when you see the topic sentences here, the topic sentence here connects around, it says an education should be available to all students, have a point of view that everybody is equal. That relates to just one of the points of view. Now in this next paragraph, we say people who believe that an education should be available only to good students hold a point of view that good students can achieve better, and that goes to the second point of view. And then the writer gets to his opinion in this particular paragraph. Remember that you started with your opinion in body paragraphs 2, 3, and 4, but you didn't discuss both views first. It would have been better had you followed that organization. Remember that in the university, a lot of professors can have writing assignments that they can be 2 or 3 pages long, just the instructions for the writing assignment. So it's very important that you identify what the writing task is first, and then try to organize your writing around that. Now the next thing I want to take a look at, so I'm going to say your writing does not directly organize around the actual writing prompt, right? Now also, I want to take a look at one of your paragraphs and do some editing with you. So in this case, let's take a look at this particular paragraph here. We have people have to get higher education to achieve their future goals. Now let's take a look at this particular paragraph, and I want to go ahead and edit this paragraph Now, of course, you would have to organize it around the actual writing prompt. But let's say people have to get higher education to achieve their future goals. You say without, you might put here, because that's an uncount noun, without an education, put a comma here, people wouldn't be able to get the job they want. For example, and this is where you run into pronoun shifts. You talk about people here, but then you go to you here. But here's what I'm going to say. So if they don't have money, maybe that's going to be a little awkward. How about this? This not having money will affect their life you might say this, primarily you might say something like that. You might say, for example, not having money, get rid of that. Not having money will affect their life primarily in where they will choose to live. Basically, without an education, people would most likely be homeless, or you might say, very least, be unable to buy how about satisfactorily, or at the very least being able to buy a satisfactory home for their family. You say believe it, I would say believe it or not, you say everybody lives on this planet. If you just say everyone, you have to say here living, not lives, because you have, in this case, you have has and you have lives here, so you have double verbs there. That's a sentence formation error. You say everyone living on this planet has a dream to achieve. But sometimes you might say because of a lack. You might say, but sometimes because of a lack of education, how about using a word like these dreamers how about difficulty finding success? Then you might say a transition word like hence, education must be for everyone. How about must be available for everyone. Because that also will reduce the ratio of poverty and increase the amount, I'm going to say here number, I'm going to just say of the ambitious people. Right, now, I'm not going to be able to correct every single paragraph, but let's take a look at what we did with this paragraph, and you can compare it with what you've written. So I said, people have to get higher education to achieve their future goals. Without an education, people wouldn't be able to get the job they want. For example, not having money will affect their life, primarily in where they will choose to live. Basically, without an education, many people would most likely be homeless, or maybe put a comma here and set these two things apart, or at the very least be unable to buy a satisfactory home for their family. Believe it or not, everyone living on this planet has a dream to achieve, but sometimes, because of a lack of education, these dreamers will have difficulty finding success. Now, I use the word these dreamers. This ties back to what you said before. These dreamers will have difficulty finding success. Hence, education must be available for everyone, because that will also reduce the ratio of poverty and increase the number of ambitious people. Right? So, if we go through your different paragraphs, there are quite a few problems sometimes with, in this case, I changed some of your pronouns so that they were more consistent. You started off with the word people, right, which is third person plural, and then I made sure that the rest of the pronouns in that paragraph were they, and referred back to people. So that helped organize your ideas a little bit better. So some of your sentences I had to restructure in order to make the cohesion a little bit better and to help you express your ideas a little bit better. All right, now the question is, what score will you get on this particular essay? Okay, so if we take a look at the rubrics here, I'm going to put you in the 3 range. On the one hand, you have a lot of development, a lot of ideas in there, but you didn't really directly, the main thing here is you didn't directly organize your writing around the writing task, as I pointed out. You also had, so in this case it's difficult to understand, actually I could understand the connection of your ideas, but you didn't address the topic and task as well as you could have. So I could probably put you in the 2 range. It says limited development of ideas as they relate to the topic and task, inadequate organization or connection, but I'm going to put you in the 3 range because I like your development, I like your organization, but it doesn't exactly respond to the writing task, right? So I'm going to put you in the 3 area, 3.0 out of 5, based on what you just did. Now also, for the purposes of our class, 3.0 out of 5, that's going to put you at about 76 points out of 100 on this particular assignment. Anyway, thank you very much for completing this particular assignment. And also remember, I think probably one of the things you can do here is you want to keep working. I think it's my writing lesson number 8. It tells you how to be more coherent in your writing. You know how to be organized, but you just want to make sure the organization that you follow matches what the assignment is. That's the main thing you have to do there. Now also, I think you can continue to make some improvements with your writing style and your grammar. So you want to keep practicing in my grammar lesson number 7. That's going to take you to a website, and you can practice there what's called sentence style and all the other areas that can help you continue to improve your writing. All right, anyway, thank you very much for completing this final practice test in my class, and keep up the good work.